All right, everyone. Thank you for joining our first LinkedIn Live here, where we're going to be covering the journey to the modern finance function. We're going to be having a series of videos around this topic, and this really started from Nick and I over the years, seeing some trends coming out of our clients and in the market, and most recently at some events that we've been attending and speaking at. In particular, what we've been seeing is a lot of focus on AI, Gen AI, and some of the more advanced use cases out there for finance groups. What we want to do is take a little bit more pragmatic approach and really bring it back to the basics around the finance and accounting tech stack and really how to overcome some of the challenging trends that we're seeing in the market. So we're going to be going through a multi-series video, diving into each of those trends and practically addressing how to overcome those in the upcoming videos here. And today we'll be giving just a general high-level overview of those trends and what we're seeing out there. So before we dive in, a little bit about myself. So I'm Tom Hood. I'm a managing director of finance transformation at SC&H. I've been here for around 15 years, working with large companies and Fortune 500 companies, helping them navigate and modernize their accounting and finance tech stack across ERP, EPM, and data solutions. And with me here, I have Nick. I'll let him introduce himself and the firm, and then we'll dive into our overview here.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. I'm excited to be part of this series. I think it's going to be pretty cool to walk through kind of the different topics we have in mind and just kind of touch on where we see the modern finance function going. So excited to be doing this with you. So I'm a managing director in the advisory and transformation practice alongside Tom here. I've been doing this for 17 years as well. I do have a bit of a more focus on the data transformation side. I came from a finance transformation side, working on helping companies modernize their planning, forecasting, and consolidation solutions, and then really transferred over to being more on the data analytics side of the house and helping the finance function really upskill and provide more capabilities around reporting and analytics. So really kind of combining the strength of what we do from an enterprise consulting standpoint and making sure we're hitting the full lineage of the finance and accounting tech stack. So really excited to be doing this with Tom, and I'm diving into some of these topics here coming up.
Perfect. All right, so diving into what we see here, and also excited to do this with you as well, Nick.
Oh, thanks, Tom. That's good.
So we want to give a little context to what we've been seeing. So we, in addition to speaking at Gartner, obviously being out working with our clients, we also are involved with the AICPA's Future of Finance group. Their last summit was in December of 2024. This is a group of around 150 CFOs and other senior finance executives across industry and across company size. These are some of the key trends that came out of that last polling session that was done in December, where we're seeing a pretty consistent theme emerge with the need for new skills staying up top, and then a couple of these different items popping in and out in between below, these different trends. We want to show this because it's kind of an interesting change between just in December to then in March, when Nick and I were presenting down at the North American Finance Executive Summit in Tampa. So we did a similar poll down with a group of around, again, 150 finance executives. And what we saw was interesting. We saw the need for new skills and upskilling remaining up top. And we saw the most notable drop was AI and Gen AI. So again, everybody's been talking about AI, how to use it, how it's coming into finance. What I think we're starting to see is that move along the Gartner hype cycle and fall down, and really a renewed focus on the top two, which are really closely related. And I think this is what, starting out with this series, we're going to be going through these different topics here in order.
I think, Tom, just point out a couple things too, and dealing with this with you really over the last 4 to 5 years, and really trying to bring some what I would call kind of market research and pulling into what are the trends and what folks are focusing on. It was really interesting, kind of coming out of the pandemic and COVID cycle, where the number one topic was around retention of talent. Making sure that they had the right people in place, the war on talent, losing folks. things of that nature, and making sure they were focusing on they had the right people there to even do the day-to-day functions and kind of combating that. Whereas now we see the trend is, okay, we have the people here at our organization, but be able to put them in a position where we can accelerate digital transformation and move to AI and Gen AI. So like they go hand in hand, and we're just seeing that be a pivot of not having the bodies to do it. Now we have bodies. How do we get them in a position where they can actually leverage tools and technology to get us to the next spot, right? And I do think it's interesting too, like the cybersecurity aspect that comes into it, because finance teams, CFOs, they have to be careful now. Gen AI, as we're talking about using the company's data and putting it into spots where it could potentially lead to vulnerability leaks, it's not only what can we do with AI to improve efficiency, but how do we do it in a way that's still protecting the organization and not putting us in a position where we're compromised for making a short-term decision. So it's kind of a balanced approach from finance teams in how they can leverage that and what they can do.
Yeah, exactly, Nick. And I think going back to the top two here, as you mentioned, how they're tied hand in hand with the new skills. A lot of what we're seeing with these questions popping up is the need for new skills and upskilling. However, we're seeing a challenge for finance groups to really answer what skills they actually do need. And I think the rate of change across the finance and accounting tech stack, the huge volume of all the buzzwords out there with AI, these different platforms, all these new technologies being thrown at finance, it makes it hard to sift through and actually determine in your specific context across the platform that you have for your finance team, what skills do you really need to A, be able to have the business and finance acumen, but then B, have the new skills to be able to own, maintain, and operate the systems that you're using to complete your forecast, your budget, advanced analytics, and so on. And I think this is where we're starting to see a pretty interesting trend. It's been happening over the last couple of years, but we've recently seen it at a couple of our clients where they've taken people from the finance group and essentially re-skilled them to be system administrators for tools like Oracle APM Cloud. And in some cases, they have an entire group, which we'll be going into more details around this, that they've broken off from finance to have dedicated to running these solutions. So I think as we go through these topics here, we're going to try to give you guys tangible examples of questions to ask your own organization and team, but also practical examples of what we're seeing and how well it's working at some of our clients and from what we're hearing out in the conference circuit out here.
Yeah, we'll also get into a new way of working. I mean, even with our consulting engagements, as we look to come in and augment and help our clients move forward, the way we approach it now is with different teams and skill sets as well. So we have a lot more collaboration with folks from a software engineering, data engineering background that we're pairing with our finance kind of thought leaders on how we approach an engagement, bringing them together, and the capabilities that we're able to deliver are just night and day different than how we did it in the past. So I think we'll dive into those topics. We'll get into specific areas around, again, whether it's focusing on how we better leverage data from the ERP, an EPM solution, or create a holistic environment for the finance and accounting team to have to improve data skills and data capabilities. We'll dive into that in our next couple series here. So to make sure we touch on those topics and bring those to light and make sure there's a good understanding across the entire tech stack where we can leverage this and create teams that can modernize and move us forward.
Exactly. So I think, Nick, with this, I think this is probably enough of a teaser for the first one, and then we'll follow up here where we'll start diving into these examples as we discussed. So stay tuned. We'll try to get these out on a regular cadence once we get the hang of this here. So looking forward to doing this and getting this content out here. So thank you all for joining.
We'll do it. Thanks, everyone.